I'm Tim. Welcome to Watch One. Thanks for logging on. Today we're looking at the IWC Spitfire Chronograph reference 3706-23, 39mm in stainless steel. This was the first of the IWC Spitfire series of pilot tribute watches. Now it pays tribute to a special aircraft and the men that flew it, specifically designer R.J. Mitchell's Supermarine Spitfire. Famous as the aircraft that helped to win the Battle of Britain, the Spitfire was the newer and the more dynamic of the two British fighters that fought out the Battle of Britain, while the slower Hurricanes went for the bombers. The Spitfires mixed it up in dogfights with the ME and BF 109s. So the Spitfire has been romanticized to the extent that over half a century later it's receiving tribute watches for those who love aviation and love aviation watches. The 3706-23 was the first of the Spitfires, but it had a short run from 2003 to 2005. This watch started the tradition that continues to the modern IWC catalog of today, but because it was produced briefly, it's an excellent collector prospect. It's also a little bit more upscale and refined than the 1988 to present IWC Fliegerchronographs, from which its core DNA is drawn. So let's put it on the wrist. Let's talk a little bit about the Spitfire specific features, but first about the fit of the watch. Now 39mm, I don't have to tell you that that's, night and day different from the modern big pilot watch style for which IWC has become famous since the 2002-5002 big pilot bout. Now the nice thing about the big pilots is that you could fit them over a winter coat or a flight suit for that matter. But if you want something that's going to pair with formal attire or short sleeves and casual attire, this is a great candidate. The combination of the Spitfire features, and I'm going to go over what those are in a moment, the cool white metal and white metal combination with the brown croc makes this a very versatile timepiece from a stylistic standpoint. Now the standard IWC Pilot Chronograph of the early 2000s featured printed Arabic numerals. These are applied and hand-positioned metal pieces, so applied is always a higher standard of finish and quality and attention to detail than printed. It fits well with the combination of the broadsword hands, themselves unique to the Spitfire. The conventional pilot's chronograph had stick hands, and that doubly finished silvered dial. The Spitfire dial, I call it doubly finished because it has a sunburst inner disc surrounded by a circular grained hour track, and that double finish gives the watch its definition. Aside from the guilloche sunken tri subdials at 12, 9, and 6 o'clock, there is a slight difference in plane and difference in texture and tone from the inner disc of this sunburst portion to the outer race of the hour track with its circular graining, and then the black 60-minute calibration on the outside. The watch is more formal than the pilot's chronograph, but not so much so that you can't wear it casually. It sits nicely and lightly on the wrist. If you like the IWC pilot's heritage, which dates back to the 1930s, and really with this size and these proportions, you're really talking about the Mark series from 1946 onward. But this is a good pilot's watch for someone who wants a more discreet, more versatile piece, or who has a smaller wrist. Now, while my wrist is 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, you could wear this, I would say, with a 5 3/4 inch wrist. You can see in the profile shot, this is nowhere near overlapping the edges of my wrist. And my wrist, while somewhat below average in size, is pretty average in profile, more or less oval, flattish across the top. This is a unique piece because it is distinct from something that's well regarded but fairly common. The IWC Pilot's Chronograph is a classically good-looking watch. It's the quintessential instrument chronograph watch. If you've got an aviation bent or an aviation interest, if you are a pilot, you're going to like that type. It's technical, it's fascinating, it's got a great history behind it, and it remains a current catalog item, so its popularity has never waned. But if you want a little bit of a different take on that, the Spitfire gives you that, and it gives you the versatility of complications you can use every day. So in addition to that refinement, that higher level of fit finish, and the unique look of the silver dial and the broadsword hands, you're also getting a IWC caliber 79320. Now the 79320 is Schaffhausen speak for Valjoux 7750. Quite honestly, it's a workhorse movement since 1974 when it first came out. It's powered everything from Panerai replica combat dive watches to grand complications like the IWC Destrios Scafusia, and it is a tank. It's a workhorse with a day and a date. It has 2 complications you can use daily. And with a chronograph, I mean, when don't you find an opportunity just to light this up for fun? Chronographs have 2 uses. 1, timing things. 2, entertaining your friends. And I'm not going to lie, I probably spend at least half of my time using my chronographs for the latter purpose. But that's all good because luxury watches are supposed to be fun. The era when we had to fly with these things on our wrist in matters of life and death is long past. And nothing highlights that fact more than the simple note that I'm going to make that this British Spitfire aircraft tribute watch says Der Fliegerchronograph on the back. We're all friends today, and in German-speaking Schaffhausen they have an appreciation for history. Everyone's history. The bottom line is that this is a great watch for those who appreciate history generally, those who love aviation, those who love mechanical watches, those who like watches that are stylish and versatile, and those who have a taste for complications with proven movements, good parts, and as Probus Scafusia, the famous motto of IWC suggests, it is very much a good solid watch made in Schaffhausen. It's also 100% complete with all original factory's accessories. Boxes, technical manuals, papers, hang tag. You get it all with this IWC Spitfire Chronograph, reference 370623, 39mm in stainless steel. If you like the IWC Pilot's watches, but you want something that's just a bit more refined, more reasonable in size, more discreet, this tribute to the British Supermarine Spitfire aircraft, the watch that started the modern IWC Spitfire line, just may be the watch you want.